Corey Anderson. I'm a teacher and wrestling coach at Mountain View High School in Mesa, Arizona, and Dean's dad. So Valiant opened, and I don't know exactly when it opened, but I know it had opened before we were ever really looking at it or anything like that. We knew it was around, and I think we had maybe been in Thoroughbred once or twice when they were working out, kind of thing. Most after school wrestling programs were kind of shut down, and things were kind of just barren. There wasn't a lot of opportunities to work out, and we were working out at a private club, and once the season started, that kind of stopped, and so there was really no opportunities, or really limited opportunities, to go in and wrestle. And I knew Coach Douglas pretty well. At this point, we had seen each other at the youth tournaments and stuff like that, and I gave him a call and I said, hey, look, Dean's going to Tulsa for the first time. Is there any opportunities to kind of come in? And with Thoroughbred, and he was like, yeah, there's some opportunity. We got this going on, we got that going on. And then he said, hey, let me take some time and talk to you about Valiant College Prep. And we really hadn't really done much talking about it, looking into it. It was just kind of always probably a thing like, Dean was going to wrestle, or he was going to wrestle, he was going to come to, as a youth, and then he was going to come to Mountain View as a high schooler. And we went out, and he trained a little bit in Thoroughbred, and there was some, Valiant had a couple people in during that time, and he was able to come in during those workouts and kind of get moving with those guys. And then there was the Kickoff Classic, and Dean wrestled the Kickoff Classic, and Coach Douglas was in our corner. He warmed up with the Valiant guys for kickoff. And after Dean's last match, Coach Douglas was like, hey, if he wants to come back out in January and try to win this thing, he can come out with us, and that'd be good. And I was in the season at that point, so there was restrictions for us and traveling with kids and so on and so forth, and COVID tests. It was a weird time. And so Dean went out with my dad, but with the Valiant guys, and really had a good result. And I think from there, it was pretty much a thing that Valiant was going to be something that we were going to do. We probably hadn't really thought about it, and then thought about it a lot in a short period of time. So that's kind of how we got right to getting to know about Valiant a little bit. I knew Angel before that. We had seen each other at tournaments, talked, were friendly, and I knew that the people involved were really good people. But as we started to get involved with it, it was it was obviously it was a great situation, great people involved, and I think in the end that was something that was a really strong pull for Dean. As for the kind of second part of that, right, there's this idea that, why do we, send Dean to Valiant College Prep? And, this is probably a little bit different, but to be completely honest, I'm not sending him to Valiant College Prep. That's a decision that Dean came to on his own. This is, I don't know, it might be a little bit different, but we allow our kids to make decisions about what it is they want to do and where they want to go and how they want to do it. And of course we're in a role where we support and help out and do things of that nature, but at the end of the day, this is his journey, and he's the one dictating it and calling the shots. And I'm here kind of in I don't know, I guess I'm like the CFO, right? Because I fund it, but I'm not necessarily the CEO. That's the decisions that Dean makes. And so I believe my job as a parent is to support my kid and support his goals, dreams, hopes, 110%, obviously within reason. and I'm here for it, right? I'm here for it. So that shift for me really kind of started probably looking back at it. We went to NCAA's in Pittsburgh, and I forget when that was. It was probably 2019, because next year would have been 2020 when things just got weird. And 2019 we went to Pittsburgh, went to NCAA's, and it was probably the first time that Dean had the opportunity to see all those big names together. Obviously, we've been to some duels, at ASU, and obviously he watches a lot of wrestling online, but to actually be there and be part of the process. And then on Saturday night, probably one of the coolest things in the NCAA tournament is when all the All-Americans come out on the finals mat, right? And so it's everybody except the finalists, and they're out there. And I remember just kind of snapping a picture of it, because we had really good seats. And so I snapped a picture of it, and I was kind of snapping a picture of it, just kind of watching Dean during that process, watching him look at it, and you could tell there was something going on there, him thinking. And so just kind of later on, I think maybe that evening, or maybe coming home on the flight, I text him, and I texted him something to the effect of like, hey, like, do you think you can wrestle on Saturday night? And he got back to me and he said, yeah, I think I can wrestle on Saturday night, and that kind of code for like, do you think you can get to that level? Is that's something that you want to do? And so maybe a couple weeks go by, and he's 12 or so, and we're talking, and so I said to him, I was like, hey, look, is that something you really want to do? And he was like, yeah, that's my goal. That's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. And it became pretty apparent to me that it became my job to support that goal and be a supporter of that goal. And in that process, in that conversation, I think I said something to the effect of like, hey, if that's what you want to do, things are going to be a little bit different for you. There's going to be some the path will be a little bit different, and so maybe your friends will be doing this sometimes, and you're going to be over here doing that, and so then I just it was kind of a thing where like we're here to support him. It's his career, it's his goal, his vision, and we're here to foster that process all the way through. And so that's kind of when people say like, oh, why do you choose Valiant Prep? But Dean chose Valiant Prep, I think based on kind of just the whole package of things. And so when that was the choice that he made, that's we're obviously going to go all in and support it to the best of our abilities. Probably the number one question I get asked from people. I was at our team's football game Friday night. I had somebody ask me that question, and a couple things. I think that wrestling is unique when you are coaching your kid, because you're right there all the time, and the amount of time you're there. Kind of at a tournament, it's different and unique than let's say like a lacrosse game or a soccer game or a football game or a baseball game, where it's you're 2 hours and over, and so you're kind of in the corner, right? And so I knew that eventually, right, as Dean kind of progressed, that he was gonna want to do a little bit more with wrestling. He started to take to it a little bit more. Eventually, if he's gonna go off to college and wrestle, then eventually I'm not gonna be his coach anymore. So I've been fortunate to have pretty good assistants my whole career, actually phenomenal assistants my whole career, and so I was able to do a lot with kind of getting him with them and taking maybe a little bit more of a stand back role. And you know, obviously wanted him to wrestle for me in that capacity, you know, and be on the team. I mean, he grew up around the team, kind of rooting for the team, cheering for the team, going to the state championships, right? Going on trips with us at certain times, having those experiences, and those were really, really just cool experiences to have. But you know, in the end, right? Like I'm not going to be his coach because he's going to kind of go off and do those things. Now that being said, I'm going to be with him every step of the way. You know, me and my wife are going to support him every step of the way, and there'll never be a day where we're not in his corner, right? In life or on the mat. But you know that it didn't work out that way. You know, the friendships he had at Valiant, the coaching he had, the relationships he built during that time were just so strong that when he said, hey, you know, I'm going to go wrestle high school for Valiant, that was okay. I just felt like it was the pull was so strong, you know, and then, you know, that was something we were comfortable with. That was, you know, like, hey, okay, we're gonna support that. I think that you know, it's odd to see a high school coach whose kid doesn't wrestle for the dad's program, but Valiant kind of checks all those boxes, and I also feel that, you know, it has the thing that's most important, and this is what I feel is most important. Maybe not universally, but just kind of what I feel. I remember years ago we were at a youth tournament, and I was sitting around youth tournament, so we weighed in night before, and the kids were kind of playing it at the pool, and there was a group of dads, and their kids were junior high age-ish, right? Kind of, you know, late elementary school, at that point where they're starting to think about high school wrestling. And so they were joking. We were all sitting around, and they said, hey, we're gonna ask you some questions about high school wrestling. We're gonna put you through the ringer here. We're gonna ask you some tough questions. And so I said, okay, shoot, like, go ahead. And so the first question, and this is, you know, probably 6 or 7 dads, and the first question they asked, they were like, all right, so what's the most important thing for a high school wrestling coach, high school wrestling program, right? Like, is it their weights program? Is it their partners in the room? Is it the travel they do? Is it the frequency of training? Like what is it? And I remember saying something like, to the effect of, like, well, I thought you guys were going to ask me hard questions. That one's pretty easy, right? And they kind of laughed, and I kind of laughed, and I said the number one thing that's most important about a high school program is that you have a coach that loves and cares about you. And I think they thought that I wasn't serious. They were kind of like, you know, I think they were expecting a different answer, and you know, for me, that's what it was. And so if using that logic, like, what's the most important thing in a high school program, the staff at Valiant loves, supports, and cares about my kid, and loves, cares, and supports my kid enough to, you know, see him through times, difficult times, you know, times when he falls short of his goal, times when maybe he's not performing, maybe to the peak of his ability at that point. To me, it's not weird at all that he's wrestling for them. I mean, he's got great relationships. There's phenomenal people there. Every person's better than the next. You know, Coach Cejudo is, I mean, dude's amazing. You know, Coach Larkin, spent a lot of time with him, and you know, then just his people who are in the room on a consistent basis, right? We've got a lot of support from the Cardinal family. Like, we've gotten a lot of, you know, help and support from you know, Coach Emilio and Nick Slack, and so every person's kind of better than the next, and so there's a group of people who love and care about my son, right? You know, Coach Douglas, right? And so it just, the list goes on and on.